Hello and welcome back to the Jeevers Golf channel. My name is Hans Jeevers. I'm a PGA Tour fantasy contributor for ProGolfNow.com and Fansided.com. First off, I'll tell you that I had two articles that were published today, one on Fansided and one on Pro Golf Now. One of those articles is from a DraftKings pricing perspective. The other is from a Fanduel pricing perspective, and those articles are, of course, regarding the PGA Championship, which is the first major of the year, finally here. The whole COVID-19 put a wrench into our PGA Tour season, but we are finally getting some major championships. So let me get right to things. First of all, the golf course 2020 PGA Championship will be played at TPC Harding Park, right on the outskirts of San Francisco, California. This course is a par 70 that measures about 7,234 yards. I believe that will be the length that it will go off at on Thursday. Don't have anything official on that. I can guarantee you it is a par 70 that will only have two par 5s. Those par 5s are rather long in length. One is 607 yards and one is 562 yards. They converted some par 5s that are for members out there to par 4s. So based on what I see with this golf course, I think that if you hit the ball less than 285 yards off the tee, you are going to have trouble having a realistic chance of winning this event. You're going to need to hit it long and straight. You don't want to hit it in the penal rough off the fairways. So long and straight and hitting tons of greens in regulation are highly important this week. Leading off my picks for DraftKings with Justin Thomas. Yes, he could be a little chalky this week, but I can't leave the 27-year-old American off of my list. He has 3 wins this season on the PGA Tour, including, of course, the win he just received yesterday at the TPC Southwind track, the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. He was able to hold off Brooks Kepca. So I thought it was of note that JT in the last 12 rounds played on the PGA Tour in relation to this week's PGA Championship field, JT ranks first in strokes gained tee to green, first in strokes gained on par 4s, and 7th in proximity to the hole. I think that proximity to the hole is going to be rather important this week, and I think par 4s are going to be highly important this week. So JT, outstanding golfer, as we all know. Next up, Dustin Johnson, $9,000 on DraftKings, 21-time PGA Tour champion. Yes, I know he's shot a few 80s in the last month. Said he had some back issues. Not sure how real those health issues were. What I do know is this, that he was able to bounce back from those poor rounds, and he fired a final round 67 at the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational that ended yesterday, and he looked rather good in getting that 12th place finish. So I thought it was also interesting that in relation to the field, after 4 rounds of play at the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational, Dustin ranked 8th in greens in regulation. He hit about 71% of his greens, and he ranked 10th in putts per GIR. So he has 5 top 25 finishes on the year, including his win at the Travelers in June. Another guy I like on DraftKings, Chez Reavie, 38-year-old American. He has 5 top 25s himself on the PGA Tour this season, including a 6th place result at the WGC FedEx Invitational. I like to look at the 12 rounds of recent play, and as you know, I just made reference to JT in regards to that. Chez Reavie, in relation to the PGA Championship field that is listed to play this week, in the last 12 rounds played on the PGA Tour, Reavie ranks 3rd in strokes gained tee to green, 5th in greens in regulation, 1st in bogey avoidance, and 6th in proximity to the hole. Lastly, on DraftKings, Matthias Schwab, young Austrian. I watch a lot of European Tour golf, and last year it seemed like every Saturday morning I got up to have my coffee, I noticed that Mr. Schwab was right up there on the leaderboard. It seemed like every Saturday morning, or Sunday morning, I should say, the final round, of course. But he had 11 top 20 finishes on the European Tour last year, including a second place finish at the Turkish Airlines Open in November. What's more important regarding Mr. Schwab is how he has played on the PGA Tour this year. He has 2 top 4 finishes on the PGA Tour this season, including a third place finish at the PGA Championship last week. So, next up on Fanduel, of course, I'm leaning on Justin again. Can't back away from him. He has too much win equity. Could be chalky. So be it. Leading off with him at 11,600 on Fanduel. Next up on Fanduel, Brooks Kepka, the 2-time defending PGA Championship winner, arrives at this event trying to get 3 in a row. If he does, he will be the first golfer to do so since the 1920s. He finished runner-up to JT last week. Unfortunately, he pounded one into the water down the stretch and had to settle for a runner-up finish. However, he did look pretty good through 4 rounds of play at the TPC Southwind track. I know that Brooks has had some issues over the last 2 months with his play. It's been a little sporadic. He did have a 7th place finish at the Heritage in June, but he seemed to sort things out at the WGC. And if you're a golf fan of any kind, you know that Mr. Kepka tends to get himself ready for these major championships. And I would not at all be surprised if he was holding the trophy again on Sunday afternoon. Next up on Fanduel, Daniel Berger. This young guy, $99,700 on Fanduel. He has 5 top 5 finishes in his last 6 events on the PGA Tour, including a win at the Charles Schwab in June. I know that he can play decent in major championships by looking at his prior results. He's got a 10th at the 2016 Masters, 12th at the 2018 PGA Championship, and a 6th place result at the US Open in 2018. Next up on Fanduel, Abraham Answer, 29-year-old Mexican. He has 4 top 15 finishes in his last 5 events on the PGA Tour, including a runner-up finish at the RBC Heritage in June. Like the way he's playing, he looked outstanding this week at the WGC. One trend I found it very interesting was 6 of the last 7 winners of the PGA Championship all finished 12th or better in the tournament the week previous. So that's something that, yes, trends are made to be broken, but I find that rather interesting. Lastly, on Fanduel, the Texan, Ryan Palmer, $8,000. He has 6 top 15 finishes on the PGA Tour this season, and he played rather well just a few weeks ago on a very difficult, major-esque, if you don't mind me saying that, type golf course that Mr. Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, not Jack Nicholson, I promise you. Jack Nicklaus made the golf course very difficult there in Ohio, and I was very impressed with how Ryan Palmer finished runner-up to Jon Rahm. So we'll leave it at that. If you want to see all of my picks from a fantasy perspective, please go to fansided.com and progolfnow.com. None of my content is behind a paywall. It is all free. I appreciate you coming back to the DFS Golf channel. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you coming and checking out this content. If you don't mind hitting that like button, I'd really be appreciative of that. I will tell you that I am going to write a piece regarding the English Championship, which is on the European Tour, in the next few days, and I may do a show for that as well. Take care, have a great week, and let's hope for a wonderful first major of the year. Take care.